About the issue of hung municipalities, and of course the issue of hung municipalities comes in where no party secures an outright majority, and of course then that's when those talks of coalitions become super imperative, and we've certainly heard a lot of the political parties weighing in on who they will work with and who they absolutely will not be talking to. But things change. These are politics, and at the end of the day, nothing is cast in stone. We might see some surprise coalitions as we've seen in the past, and some of those coalitions indeed being quite disastrous in some of those places. There's certainly a very interesting conversation to be having when it comes to those hung municipalities. And Mxolisi is indeed on standby with the SABC's from SABC Research, Amil, who will be taking us through all of that. Mxolisi?
Well, thank you very much, Flo. As we talk about coalitions, there's also that aspect of hung councils here, which continue to be a hurdle to service delivery in some communities. Now, Amil Umraw, who's our specialist researcher here at the SABC, now joins us to speak about those. Amil, it's great to have you again on the program. Let's talk about some of these hung councils.
So we were looking at the IEC's figures from about midnight today, and we've been compiling the list of all hung municipalities where sort of the results have been finalized. As it stands, there are 35 councils in total across the country which are classified as hung. This is where there's no outright majority, 50% plus one, where a visible or clear leader, political leader, is found. So let's start off with the Western Cape. This is where most of the hung councils have come out from, and there's 14 in total so far, but there is space for more. We'll start off with Matsikama. This is where the DA has the majority, but not 50%. They have 37.3%. They would probably have to form a coalition with the Patriotic Alliance here if they are to take the council, because the Patriotic Alliance has 12.52%. So if you add that to the DA, they might breach that 50% gap. In Cedarburg, we see something quite interesting. The ANC is ahead of the DA, but this is also just reminiscent of disparities in voting in the Western Cape when it comes to sort of township economies, townships versus suburbs, you know. So Cedarburg, the ANC in the lead there with 35%, the DA at 20%, and a sort of regional Cedarburg party with a large amount here with 27.5%. This just goes to show that there is power of the smaller parties and the smaller ratepayer organizations in these local municipalities. Saldanha Bay was a close one for the DA. They got 46.34%, just 4% off there. And what's interesting here in Saldanha Bay is that the Good Party did quite well, 13.81%. So they could become the kingmaker in Saldanha Bay. The ANC, unfortunately, at 21.66% there. So they'll need a lot more help from other than Good to take that province. But let's move on then, away from the Western Cape. Those were just a few highlights. In the Eastern Cape, and this is where the big story is when it comes to the hung council so far, Nelson Mandela Bay, the metro municipality, has now been found again, like in 2016.
Oh yeah, see that.
As a hung municipality. The DA got did quite well here. They got 46.71% of the total vote, so almost making that 50%, but just not good enough. The ANC pulled about 40.92%. These are both sort of reminiscent to what happened in 2016, so nothing's really changed. The EFF here with 5.12%, which means then that the DA would have to look towards a coalition with the EFF or with every other smaller party if they're to take Nelson Mandela Bay again, and we'll see whether it's actually going to be the case after what happened there in 2016, where it all fell apart, if you remember that.
Yeah.
Then in the Northern Cape, we've got 9 hung councils in total. There's also quite a large number. If we look back to 2016, there were only just 3 hung councils at the time, so already at 9 with all the votes in. And then basically, if we just look at the stats here, nothing really untoward. The ANC basically with a majority of votes in the Northern Cape, but just coming shy of 50%. with the DA, Patriotic Alliance, and EFF just making up the rest there. Northwest has one hung council. It's actually one of the municipalities that we covered during service delivery gauge over the past few weeks, the Lekwa municipality, which showed, I'm trying to remember all the issues at the municipality of service delivery. There were so many residents complaining of electricity, housing, water and sanitation, a whole bunch of issues facing residents at Lekwa municipality. And what happened here was that the ANC garnered 48.17% of the votes. The EFF, the second highest amount at 23.67%, and the DA at 9.26%. So the EFF doing much better than the DA in Lekwa municipality. Then in Limpopo, one hung council, which is Tapazimbi. In Mpumalanga, one hung council as well. And
So Gauteng is quite fascinating. There's only 2 hung.
well, all the results haven't come in from the metros as yet. So what we see of Rand West City and Lesedi, the votes from those 2 councils have been tallied at 100%. So the IEC can then classify them as hung because the final results are in. However, we're still waiting for the results for Kuruleni, Tshwane, and for the city of Joburg. And if it stays as it is, all 3 of those will fall under the hung category as well. But we'll have to see when all those results come in. The Free State, just to finalize here, has also one hung council, which is the Nala municipality. And then in KwaZulu-Natal, where in 2016, if I remember correctly, there were 7 hung councils there. We've already established that there are 4 so far this year, which is Edumbe, Imadlangeni, Danhauser, and Ntumeni.
Amil Umraw, it's going to be very interesting to see how this list is going to progress as the numbers keep trickling in there, as we only sitting at just 58% as it is right now. So now we hand over back to the ladies on the main set. Bongiwe.